Welcome to the Tech Panel.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The podcast where tech minds meet.
Welcome to the Tech Panel, where we explore the practical ways technology is being used to solve real-world problems. I'm your host, James Arvin.
I'm Em Glasson.
And today we are talking with someone who's focused on improving lives through human-centered innovation in the nutrition space. If you're interested in how tech is being utilized to personalize healthcare, stay tuned. Today we're joined by Craig, or Craig Gillam, co-founder of Umami, a nutrition-based platform helping health professionals and their clients manage personalized nutrition planning. Craig brings over 15 years of design and strategy experience to the table and has recently turned his focus to HealthTech. We'll be discussing how Umami is utilizing technology to support clinicians and improve patient outcomes. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited. And
Sorry, I was going to say we're so excited to have you. Thank you for coming.
Just settle down. Just too excited.
and thanks for showcasing Umami. I'm actually more excited to talk about that than me.
Oh, we've got plenty of time, mate. But before we kick things off, can you tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and why you decided to start Umami? Started is not a word, audience. Don't quote that.
Well, thanks for the intro too. It bloats me up. So, definitely a formerly trained graphic designer.
Okay.
And I always had a mindset around the strategic side of things and wanting to solve problems for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
And that always fueled me more. And the design thinking around that was actually, I guess, my vessel through problem solving.
Yeah.
And then more recently, in the last 10 years, sort of working more in the branding and then how that converted through to the product and customer experience side of things. So I believe a great brand should be like what you think about it to the experience you have all the way through. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always worked within other companies. And to now with Umami, we saw the need. My wife and I, co-founder Ali, clinical nutritionist, she was the subject matter expert and the one that had the real problems with the tech and software solutions that were available to her.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. She was we were living in France last year, which was super exciting and ticked that off our bucket list.
Wow.
And she looked at me one day and she just said, there has to be a better way to plan nutrition for my clients. Just completely shaking her head. To the point of being upset and wondering if this was the career for her, even though she absolutely loved it and loved helping clients. But they're just, the nutrition industry has been underserved and starved of innovation for so long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So was that sort of the aha moment that led to the creation of the system? You're kind of dealing with someone who had a strong issue related to how they plan personal nutritional plans for their clients. And then you're just like, I'm going to speak to this guy, Craig. He knows how to build things. Let's get this thing sorted.
Yeah. So I guess being close to the problem with Ellie, it was easy to sort of see where the pitfalls were, having my experience in other tech companies.
Yeah.
And bringing that innovation to the nutrition space, the nutrition world, and really bringing it up to where it could be and beyond. I felt like it's at least 10 years behind everything else, and it's just been overlooked, really.
Yeah. And how did you, I guess, what was your first starting point?
Yeah, certainly. So we spoke to a lot of Ellie's network and the people that she studied with, the people that she knew just within the industry, and already knew that there were these problems, and there's all of these different avenues and communities, whether it be like Facebook groups or meetups and different things that were saying, what's everyone using? Surely there's a better option. The best platform out there still struggles to convert imperial to metric. And
oh, wow.
We were just seeing the downfall of nutrition adherence because it dropped off when people went to cook or plan their meals, and they went, ounces, or, what is this? Or pepper sandwiches, like what the heck is that? And it just really didn't convert to, especially to the Australian sort of way of living.
That's so interesting because you, I guess, you want it to be as easy as as possible, especially when, they're implementing, new meals, new lifestyle. Technically, you want it to be easy for them.
Yeah, certainly. As soon as anything gets even, we all live busy lifestyles.
Yeah.
We're all, especially a lot of the clients that were being helped had busy families, and as soon as anything gets in the way of that, the first thing to go out the window is a new habit that you're trying to establish, with eating and cooking, and you go, all right, let's resort back to the easiest way possible. And yeah, it just all falls apart there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I think when I think of most of the models that exist in the market through my limited experience, it seems to be you've sort of got people who help you plan meals, and there's basic functions like, are you vegetarian? Do you like meat? Or are you vegan? And it looks like you're taking a more targeted approach to what are your specific dietary requirements and how can we adjust and curate a bespoke dietary list of recipes that'll add value to your everyday life. Is that sort of the approach you're taking?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, brushstrokes are only so good when it comes to nutrition. It sort of can help a subset of the general population, and that's great. But we really think good nutrition should be for everyone, and that making it more accessible is really the key to having the success. And we're all being told that we're coming an obese nation, or obesity is on the rise, or all these sort of key other problems that are happening around that are based all around nutrition, and it seems to be the one that's left out. It's like, oh, go to the gym, or do this or do that, or get your sleep, which they are all super important, but it seems like nutrition seems to be the one that we find gets missed in all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess how does tech help people with that aspect? How have you guys made it so much easier?
Yeah, we've just made it intuitive for the clinician and the client, and made sure it's a delightful experience for both.
Yeah.
So some of the platforms out there right now make it really nice for the clinician to plan, but then as soon as it comes to the client experience, it's like it looks like they've launched Excel and slotted in some titles of things to eat, and it really just isn't appetizing.
No.
It falls so far from what it could be.
Absolutely.
So what we've done is made a beautiful user experience for the end client, and they can tap straight into the recipe. They can see the beautiful bright pictures. Ellie's created all the recipes and taken all the imagery as well. So we keep all that stuff really close to what we're doing, because we know how important it is.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the times, and I have to be the test guinea pig, which sucks. Ellie will go back and recook something and go, it's not quite right. It's not quite right. And and making sure we have that quality on the platform, and then that coming through in beautiful imagery and beautiful recipes is something that we hold high on our priority list.
Yeah.
And making that experience is, once again, as easy as possible. Everything works on all sizes, whether they've got a desktop or a mobile, an iPad. It all dynamically shifts and works perfectly for them and meets them where they are. So yeah.
And I guess, what was your process in hiring a developer to help you, or I guess how did you navigate that part?
Yeah, we are very lucky to have an amazing technical co-founder.
Yeah.
Matt Shippey, he's the third one in the team.
Amazing.
Yeah. He's such a gun, and it's great when I can put down how I think a customer experience should be, and he actually meets it and adds more to that. A lot of the time what you'll find is you'll hand it over, they'll go, cool, we can build that. What are the requirements? We'll write it down. But he'll actually come back in and go, no, I know this is an MVP, but I'll take one more day and we'll enlighten it to even further beyond what I expected.
Yeah.
And we've been able to progress in only just under a year to have a fully fledged platform that's doing what most of all the other platforms that have been around 10 plus years have already. So
wow.
I think it's very clear that yourself and the rest of the team are rallied around a pretty centralized goal, making sure that you've got a beautiful product. And for anyone listening, if you haven't looked at the website, it's really quite pretty. The photos are lovely. The layout's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm hugely passionate about cooking. It's absolutely something I love doing. Talk to my partner. She's like, that's what did it. And I deal with people all the time that are like, I don't like cooking. And I always ask, how can you not like cooking? Everyone here loves food. And what always comes back to me is like, most people just don't know what to cook, or they'll try to cook something and the recipe was bad.
Yeah.
And then they eat it and they think that tastes horrible. I'm a bad cook, right?
Yeah.
And your website is going to make that challenge a lot less difficult for people, because it's curating that list to make it much more meaningful to the people or your audience that's trying to solve for their own dietary requirements. And like you said, you're actually testing these meals. It's not just like, we're going to put some recipes out there. They're pretty to look at on photos, but I've never eaten it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So true. Yeah.
And a lot of other platforms will just scrape a database of recipes that are already out there. And, they're normally like a cheap database for that reason. It's because they're just out there, and they can, they can easily hook up and promote that they have thousands of recipes on their and 900 of them suck, and it's like, and it's like
telling me.
and then once again you get exactly what you said, that they start to cook them. They go, oh, I must suck because this doesn't taste very good.
Yep.
And you're left once again in that sort of negative loop of going back to like, all right, cool, I'll just have a frozen meal or something that's not very exciting. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at anyone's face. If they cook something, it's delicious. You can see them just like, I'm a master chef.
Yeah, they light
know what
up.
I mean?
For
Like, do you like cooking? Of course I like cooking. You speak to someone who's only eaten like a microwave meal, and they're like, nah, I'm not good at cooking. It's like, well, of course you're not. You haven't really been pointed in the right direction. So I could appreciate the focus that you're bringing. I imagine you've encountered some pretty unique key challenges coming from a bit of a design background, and now you're working in tandem with someone who's more focused on dietary supplemental plans for people to improve their overall physical health. How did you sort of bridge that knowledge gap and combine these two very diverse backgrounds into a meaningful product that you're offering to your consumers?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that my wife has taught me so much within nutrition, and having her alongside me as a co-founder is just amazing. I'd never try and do this alone without having her on the journey, because it just wouldn't be, what it is today. And I think that's why you've always, I find when you have a tech startup or a company that you're forming, you really need to be the team to solve it.
Yep.
You can have a great idea, but if you have big gaps everywhere, it's just not going to come together, and you're not going to be able to solve it to the best of the ability. So having someone that has that design thinking background, having an amazing engineer that can build all that and bring that to life, and then having Ellie with so much wisdom around nutrition and helping people in their life to get through the conditions or get through the time of their life that they're in. It could be fertility or somewhere like that. It is just absolutely amazing. And altogether, we do have a superpower in that area to bring that to life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess bridging that knowledge has just been me almost doing a part medical degree on the side, a nutrition degree, not quite medical. I won't go that far. I'm not going to be a surgeon anytime soon. But and there's still so many gaps that I just always have to ask Ellie about and watch how she uses it and interacts with her clients and our customers with their clients as well, and just making sure we are building it to their needs rather than and bring our tech to them rather than them to our tech.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Like, I feel like we've heard a lot from our guests that, it's about finding like the right people, and you can, if you have like a clear goal, you can basically achieve anything, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Given the current pace of innovation in the health tech industry, how do you feel that pace is impacting the direction you're taking your business? Do you foresee anything in the forecast of a big change, developmental design direction that you're going to be implementing in the business?
Yeah, certainly. We're quite excited by how wearables are really coming to light, and people are being able to track a lot more of their nutrition through that way with
Yeah.
like the Whoop or the Aura Band, or
Yeah.
that's not quite nutrition, but it's all getting plugged into iPhones and everyday devices these days.
Yeah.
And then you've got your biomarker testing as well. You have, your bloods and your microbiome testing that is more accessible to people now. And you're really understanding how you're different to everyone else and tailoring the nutrition to that. And that's where we're sort of trying to meet the market in, but also understanding that you have to balance that with clinical trials and efficacy. And as innovators, we love to jump in, feet first and go, cool, let's bring this to light. But we also have to balance that with making sure, medically it's sound. There are trials that are proven around it.
Yeah.
And finding that balance in between those sort of areas. So, yeah.
And what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about technology and nutrition in the industry today?
Biggest misconceptions, I think, like you said earlier, a lot of people jump on and, to be completely honest, everyone thinks a nutrition platform is a weight loss plan, and it really isn't.
That's where my mind went. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No,
You'll
that's
charged.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And that's fair because it's just pumped everywhere. You got
Mhm.
Manshake buses flying past. You've got all these like everyone. It's just hard to get away from.
Yeah.
And I think it stems from that 80s, 90s sort of culture of Jenny Craig and all this sort of stuff being thrown down your throat. And we're really not that at all. And we believe in health at every size and really just tailoring nutrition to where you are and your individual health journey. And I think the biggest misconception is definitely that we're creating another weight loss program and we're going to do some telemarketing and really you'll see us flying down the side of on the buses, with like a measurement and an apple around the waist and live your best life. And I think all that stuff is so crass, and we really want to change that. And definitely within our brand and our community, it really is making sure that sure, weight loss is something if people need it, but that's a very small part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, I love that. That's like such an important message. I'm assuming you have such a great community already, and then that's just going to grow. Have you had any case studies or like people that have come back to you and saying how you guys have made their workflow easier, made their clients' life easier?
Yeah, definitely. And it hasn't come through in like written testimonials just yet, but we're speaking with them as often as possible. And they said, this is awesome. And it's already saved, hours of my week.
Oh, wow.
Which is absolutely amazing. And then we're getting that secondary feedback from their clients, saying that, finally there's something that works for both clinician and client. So that's been really positive for us. But it's also making sure that we've also got other feedback too to build on.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about a startup, I find, is especially early on, you can have feedback and you can go, cool, next week, jump back on, that'll be there. And you can really fast forward that innovation for these people.
Yeah. And then, they can see that, like how fast it is to be implemented. What's your internal process of that? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, certainly. So we have a weekly meeting that we'll all, it's like a, all have to be there regardless, plan everything else around your week around this event. But we for full disclosure, we still all work full-time jobs, bringing this to light. So the technical founder and myself, work separate in another company, and that's how we already knew that we gelled so well.
Yeah.
And then Ellie works in a telehealth clinic as well, and so we're bootstrapping this, and I guess our process is to come together that week, talk about the feedback. I'm spending afternoons, mornings. Lucky I do have a flexible job to speak with our customers and putting that feedback into that meeting, and then out of that we do like everyone I'm sure does your yearly goals that you're looking to kick off, and then the quarterly planning, and then breaking that down into weekly sprints for us right now, and how we can deliver, even if it's part of the bigger feature within 1 week, so we have something up. And it might not go externally, it might live internally and we test it, but at least having something to build on every week and having that consistency has really helped us to chew through some of these bigger features that we've delivered. So more recently, we've delivered our weekly meal planner, where you can actually slot all your meals into a week calendar. That was massive, and to be completely honest, we've iterated a lot on how we work to get around that.
Oh wow, yeah.
At the start, it sort of seemed like we're going through the denial. Like, this will be fine, this will be great. You know, yeah, cool. All right, how have you gotten with that? And because you need the design and the prototype sort of stuff done first, it was very much like Shippy, our technical co-founder, leaning on me going, hey man, where are you at with that? It's been a while, like, where are we at? Blah, blah, blah. And then I handed it right over to him, and then he goes, okay, I can see now. Like, well, we're all sort of working on it together and consulting Ellie into that whole process as well. But we now know just to break it all down into sort of bite-sized pieces, and what can we deliver in a weekly sprint, and break a big feature down into smaller parts. So
I love hearing these terms, but like sprint, but I'm sure our audience is not going to be familiar with that term. Can you sort of shed some light on that? Yeah.
So I'm going to completely butcher this, but I know it sort of works into a bigger framework of how a lot of people work in tech companies. But a sprint is more or less just having everything laid out that you're going to do within 1 week, or some do 1 week, some do a fortnight, and then have that built into a bigger sort of pipeline of features, or one feature that you're sort of working on. It has a bigger framework around that, and that's completely escaped me right now. But being completely honest,
Scrum and
that's it.
Agile.
There we go. That's the word I was. And to be completely honest, that stuff's great to know, but some people get so into them. You have like Scrum managers, you have Agile, in these bigger companies, and they like live and die by it, like a cult. And that might work for some people, but for other people, it's like, all right, we get it. Like, cool, I didn't do this little part, but we find it so much better flow having that as a general framework. But knowing that every team has their idiosyncrasies in how they work, and tailoring that to that.
I like that you mentioned sprints though, because I feel like anyone listening that is looking to, start their own company, it's like a really good framework to implement internally, just so then you can all like keep on track exactly what is, coming out that week or whatever it might be. So I feel like it's like, it's really good you touched on that.
No, it certainly is. It keeps everyone, everyone's priorities, and accountability on the one sprint, and making sure that, things will always come in and fires will always need to be put out. But what you have planned for that sprint, if everyone plays their part, will then be at this point ahead of time that we can all build on again, and having that consistency over a year. Well, we're not even a year out. We've already built such an amazing platform for our customers, and where it's definitely coming back to making sure we have those dedicated sprints.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess off the back of that, you know, everyone goes through challenges in business, and just, you know, being the founder, have you had any challenges that have stood out over the last year?
Yeah, it definitely breaking these bigger features down into something. You sort of go through like the valley of like, holy crap, what have we got ourselves into?
Yep.
When you dive into these bigger features and you go like, it's all going to be worth it once we come out, but we just have to know that right now we're in the jungle with the machete, like cutting through all the hard growth. But on the outside of that, for myself, it's really been okay. You're the founder now.
Mm-hmm.
You're the director now. I've got 2 other co-founders, which is amazing. But you've just got to be across everything, and that for me is something I know that there's, I guess, weaknesses. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
But it's just making sure that where I do have those weaknesses, I have support networks around that, or ways to make sure that they don't fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to circle back to something that I think I heard you say. Maybe I misunderstood it, and I don't want to misquote you. As I interpret it, you said something along the lines of, you mentioned that Umami focuses on promoting healthy eating without necessarily pushing for weight loss, which I think is a great approach, obviously, especially if the bigger focus is on well-being. However, given that obesity is a major factor to several comorbidities like heart health and diabetes, do you feel, or is the question maybe I'm trying to get at it here is, do the nutritional plans that you're offering not encourage people to lose weight, or is it more just about being the best version of yourself at that certain point in time? Because I'm wondering, does that go against the grain of being a health-based focused solution out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to break it down a little further, we provide the tools and resources for our clinicians to then serve their clients in whichever way they need. So if their clients are coming to the clinicians to specifically lose weight, we 100% have that on our platform to serve them for that. And it's up to the clinician's discretion as to how they help their client. But more broadly, good nutrition should be for everyone. And we're stepping Umami up and transforming it into a platform that's accessible for everyone in the future, and then connecting people to the health professionals that way for specific needs. So there's just such an emphasis on weight loss that sure, it should be there for good reason, but it's not the whole reason we created Umami, and it's probably the least to be completely honest.
Is it a fairer summation of your solution that you're not coming into it with a perspective, you're relying on the healthcare provider to determine what is required, and based on their requirements, you will offer certain dietary supplements? So you're not actually the ones that are saying this is what you need. You're saying this is our catalog that will assist the healthcare provider in triaging whatever the medical requirements will be from a dietary perspective.
Yeah, certainly. So we're making sure that we have the templates and the collections of recipes for all the different conditions on our platform, and the meal plans that are already done, that which will help our practitioners be able to serve their clients in a quicker way. So they'll be able to grab these templates, clone them, and then tailor them to the exact needs of their clients in a lot more quicker way than having to build it all up from scratch from themselves. So we're here to serve our clinicians and their clients secondary to that. So we'll always make sure we have their best their needs front of mind. So
absolutely.
I like that. I think a lot of other I don't want to call you now a dietary system. It sounds like, again, you're providing a portfolio of resources that could be catered to the audience's requirements. You're less interested in telling them what they need versus answering what they're after. And I think a lot of these other systems that are out in the market today take a completely different approach where they're sort of saying, welcome to our website. This is what you need to do if you want to be great. You know what I mean? And I think you're right. There's no one human being that's the exact same as the next. We're all very unique and we're at different stages of our lives. And as a result, our bodies have different requirements. And I think that's a commendable solution to be putting on the market that makes it, I think, a safer place to find the right meals that will add the greatest amount of value to your life. And then again, you're relying more on healthcare professionals versus someone with an opinion on a website.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly. So our job is firstly to empower our community of health professionals because what we know that a lot of them are niched in these specific areas and that they're seeing clients for those particular reasons and helping them with the templates and resources in that area.
Yeah.
But then when we look, as I was saying, into the future of what Umami will or can and will become is a way to onboard these clients directly and to have questionnaires and onboarding that really starts to understand exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, choose from, this scattering of recipes, collections, whatever. But then tailoring that and then also connecting them to the health professional that way.
Yep.
And we're always first and foremost for our health practitioner community and making sure that, we can actually add further revenue to them by connecting clients through our platform. So if we can do that in a sustainable way by bringing the clients to us and then connecting them to where they need to go to the health professional on our platform, that's where we're looking to as our next step.
Yeah.
And also then the bridge between that is like a B2B2C sort of model where generally speaking, someone will talk to a health professional for one to 2 months, feel like the great thing with most health professionals is they want to hand over everything they have straight away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that means that most of their clients go, great, thank you. I've got everything from you. Now I'm going to go do this myself.
Yeah.
But we're really hoping to keep them within the Umami platform and letting them plan their own nutrition and then have these ongoing check-ins with their health professional down the line again and make sure that they're still online and they haven't dropped off or, they could tweak their nutrition in that way. So, yeah.
People always fall into the habit of forgetting that bodies are just like cars. They need regular servicing intervals to ensure that they're at their optimum performance at peak. And I think you're right. When a doctor will just hand across some information to you, you take it on and you go, I can do this. And as soon as they do it, they're like, body fixed, and forget that this is something that you need to still continuously go back in and identify if it's still having the impact that we sought to achieve through the use of these meal plans. So I can definitely see where you're coming from, where it's important that you keep them in the solution so they have continuous well-being, not just momentary relief to a particular problem that they're trying to address.
Yeah, it's like, oil's changed. Cool, I'm great for 2 more years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I was that guy with my first car.
I think this is going to be super powerful to a lot of people. I got 2 last questions. One, what would be one tip of advice that you would give someone that is like thinking of starting their own business?
Oh, their own business?
Yeah.
Yeah. Surround yourselves with a team. Make sure you're working on the right business for you. I've had, hundreds of great ideas.
Yeah.
You just look at my notes section in my phone. But really make sure if you are jumping into a business or a startup or a tech, that you're solving the right problem. And what I mean by the right problem is something that you or your team knows, like a secret sauce as to how to tackle it.
Yeah.
So many people, you've got your sideliners that just want to get rich fast, but then so many people come into tech going, I've got this great idea for this, but they really don't know how that industry works or the intricacies of the different problems around it. When my wife and I have moved so many different rental properties because every time we do, the person sells the house and the new owners want to occupy.
Yeah.
All well and good. But then we're, circling around. We're actually looking for a rental before we came in here this morning. And I went, I'm going to tackle this. There's got to be a better way around this. And I'm not really the guy to solve that, and knowing if you are or you're not, and validating that first, it would be my first point of advice before diving headfirst into that.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
I'm really interested before we jump off as well, especially given the experience I think we're all, unfortunately, all too familiar with, especially when you go to a doctor, right? You go in there and you say, my pain in my head is so extreme, I can't deal. And they'll give you a drug and the pain disappears. And they say, do you feel it? You say, no. They go, solved, right? And the question I'm getting to is, how do you measure success in a business like yours? How do you determine whether or not the solution has made it? It's the right product for the market. Are you checking in on your consumers? Are you collecting feedback from healthcare providers? What does it look like for your business in the long term for you to determine whether or not we made it?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great curly question. So you are so right. And we're definitely around that. We don't want to be a Band-Aid solution, like you mentioned about taking a drug and it going away when you're not really helping the core issue at heart. So yeah, for us, it definitely is checking in with the health professionals and making sure that their clients are coming back and saying, you have solved my nutrition problems.
Yeah.
And making sure deeper than that too, that when we do look at going sort of direct to those clients, that we are getting that right feedback around. It has to be, cool, revenue's a great pillar. But when you're in health tech or when you're in somewhere that's so connected to the human experience like nutrition is, I can imagine to be the same for sleep or the same for any sort of one of those healthcare areas. You really have to make sure that the people are staying on.
Yeah.
And they are having those aha moments within themselves of going, great, I feel so much better. I am so much more myself, or these terms that people like to use. And you can really do that through testimonials are great. Or I think when it really takes off, though, you get that word of mouth sort of effect, and more people come inbound. And we've already started to notice that within these chat groups and all that. It's like now when people are sort of turning up and saying, what's the solution to, our biggest competitor? Like, anyway, surely there's a better solution out there. And people are now sort of talking for us and sort of saying, check out Umami. It's amazing what they're doing. They're a small Australian team making great movements. I digress. That's not exactly answering your question, but you've really got to have these feedback loops built in, and one of your pillars has to be the success of your client's health. So as well as the business success, you've got to have the health success metrics built in.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it so much. We always wrap up with the same question for each guest. So over your lifetime in business, what has been one piece of tech or software that has stood out to you?
Yeah. And thank you very much for having me. It's been great to chat with you. And this will help me to think about my answer. But no, definitely for me, what stands out straight away is Figma.
Figma, there we go. It's a new one.
The designing prototyping tool.
Yeah.
Being a designer myself, I remember the days of doing product design within Photoshop, and Photoshop's come a long way.